Hey guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com, another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements of the week ending December 9th, 2019. This is episode number 224 of the recap, and the first of news this week comes from TemTem, which is a Pokemon-inspired MMO that's set to launch in their early access on January 21st. Aside from perhaps Lost Ark, this is easily the MMO I'm personally most hyped for. It was the first revealed back in 2018 through a Kickstarter campaign, but unlike most nonsense MMO Kickstarters, it was clear that from the Kickstarter page that TemTem was actually pretty close to completion when they revealed the game back in early 2018. The game is only currently about a month and a half away from early access, and I'm pretty hyped for it. As you can see from the gameplay trailer in the background, it was very heavily inspired by Pokemon. Even calling it a Pokemon clone wouldn't be too unfair either, but it'll have MMO elements as well, which does sound pretty great. I've always wanted to play a proper Pokemon MMO, and TemTem could be it. Just heads up though, it won't be free to play, but I'll still be picking it up myself. Early access includes about a 20-hour campaign with 4 boss dojos, 76 TemTems to catch and trade, a breeding system, PvP, and more. And after early access, the game will be adding 50% more story content, 161 more TemTems, pick and ban rank PvP, player housing, and more. And yes, I'm clearly hyped for this game, and I'm looking forward to it. It looks really pretty, and we'll see if it lives up to the hype. Next up, Astellia launched an update this week which introduced a new endgame area called the Midoan Mine, along with new quest lines for starting players. So something for both beginners and endgame players alike. And there's also some new daily quests added to the game and a few other small goodies. Astellia is a buy-to-play RPG that launched in the West in English in late September. The game's pet system is its main differentiator from other MMOs, but keep in mind the game is buy-to-play. Really, the only big differentiator for Astellia versus other Korean MMORPGs is the game's pet system. Its Estelle system, which is actually quite well done. I just kind of wish the game was free to play. Up next, KartRider Drift ran its first round of closed beta testing this last weekend, which included the PC and Xbox One versions of the game. The game will be cross-play compatible when it launches later in 2020, and this is actually a game I'm looking forward to. I played the original KartRider back when Nexon published it back in 2007 in North America, but it's been shut down since for like over 10 years now. The Korean version of the game has been running continuously since 2004, so it's been a long-running game in South Korea. I'm surprised there really aren't any other real Mario Kart-like free-to-play racing games on the PC, given how popular Mario Kart is. Anyway, KartRider Drift is set to launch sometime fully in early 2020. Next up, Dragon Raja, a surprisingly beautiful looking sci-fi mobile MMORPG, opens up for pre-registrations for its upcoming global launch. It's built on Unreal Engine 4 and looks really pretty, and looks like a fairly high budget title based on the game's trailer. Plus, they apparently hired some name recognizable voice actors as well, so definitely splashing some money on this one. The game will be available globally in English, German, Russian, French, and Chinese. And yes, this is a Chinese developed game. It's being published by Zlong, the same company behind that publishes World of Kings, which is actually a surprisingly decent mobile MMORPG. I did a video for that one, and it's definitely surprisingly good. So maybe, just maybe, Dragon Raja could be interesting. No word on any kind of release just yet, but with the pre-registrations open right now, I imagine full launch isn't too far away, likely in early 2020 is my guess. Up next, a small update for DC Universe Online. The game's Metal Part 2 update officially launched this last week, which introduces new level-agnostic content to the game, adds new and returning superheroes and villains, expands the game's storyline with the new open-world map of Thangar, and more. Metal Part 2 is available on PC, Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. DC Universe Online is an action superhero MMORPG, and is one of the few MMORPGs out there that's basically on every single platform. Well, except mobile. Every platform but mobile. Next up, Blade & Soul's Will of Iron update is set to launch this coming week on December 11th, and will introduce the much-awaited third-class specialization for the Destroyer class, along with a new 6-player heroic dungeon. The Rise of the Silver Steel side story is also being added to the game, and a ton of other smaller changes are coming to Blade & Soul. And Blade & Soul, along with Terra and Black Desert Online, are really the only true Persistent World action MMORPGs out there. So if you haven't played them yet, definitely worth checking out. Honestly, I think all 3 of the Persistent World action MMORPGs are all worth playing. Up next, Stayout, a new multiplayer horror survival shooter with builds itself as an MMO, launched into Steam Early Access this week, and is heavily inspired by Stalker. The game is free to play and calls itself an MMORPG with shooter elements. The Early Access version of the game features 11 locations, over 50 weapons, quests, PvP activities, and more. The game's official launch is set for winter of 2020, so late next year. This one looks quite interesting, and someone described the game as a combination between DayZ and Stalker, but it does call itself an MMO, which has me interested. Next up, a small update for Guild Wars 2 launched this last week, which added stylish new cape skins to the game, along with some quality of life changes, such as the out-of-combat weapon swap ability for engineers and elementalists. It also includes some balance tweaks and other small changes as well. Again, not a big update, but it follows shortly after the launch of the Icebrood Saga Episode 1, which launched late last month, so there's still a ton of new content for players to run through. Next and last bit of news this week, which isn't really news by itself, but the next expansion for Elder Scrolls Online is set to be announced on January 16th at a live event in Las Vegas. And given that ESO is a pretty big game in the West, it's something worth keeping an eye on. We'll learn more about on January 16th, and we'll cover it then. Anyway, guys, that's it for MMO news this week. It's been a pretty light week this time, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.